We were talking about culture and heritage. So this is The Great Heritage. It's a recording of Ustad Amena Khan and Ustad Vilayat Khan playing respectively Sulbahar and Sitar. I've never listened to it because I don't have a vinyl player. It is a present given to me by Zara. Thank you very much, Zara. Anyone has a vinyl player out there? But yeah, we're not talking about sitars today, but still talking about diaspora, de-diasporization, culture. We're going to talk about why do people conform and why it is risky to get, transgress the norm. So a lot of respondents during my research self-censor themselves. They say they have to be careful, they have to keep their head down. And this is what our parents taught us, mine included, keep your head down, work hard, don't make any waves, earn a lot of money, which means that a lot of people will not, when they will take extra duties at work far beyond their job description. They will never ask for a pay rise. They will never ask for flexible working. While in contrast, they see around them people who are white middle class, just like that, asking for a promotion and getting it, asking for flexible working and getting it. I grew up in a family of immigrants, but I've been at school with people who are taught, just ask as if you deserve it. Because a lot of my respondents fear being seen as seeking exclusive treatment or, be too demanding. And this is the problem. In society, people are trapped. Hello and welcome. My name is William, researcher in sociology at the University of Warwick in the UK, and this is a video series around my latest book, Muslims in the Neoliberal Empire. Think about everything, the workplace, and how many things revolve around the pub in the UK, or if you're in France, cigarette breaks. So I had lots of respondents telling me experiences where they realize that there is so many important decisions that are made at the pub or during cigarette breaks. It's almost as if all the business is made over these social times, which are not technically part of work. And the problem is it excludes a lot of people who are not drinkers or are not smokers. And let's take a macroscopic perspective on the word. People often say that the most dangerous people are not Trump supporters because we already know what they think. They're open about it. But it's people in the middle who are not taking a clear stance and who are the most easily influenceable. People in the middle who, they have things to lose if they don't behave a certain way. Just like the wind changes when, Trump comes into power, they say, well, now he's president, so maybe, we should show that we hate immigrants too. That comes out of a place of survival. Because if you're part of a minority, you cannot afford to make mistakes because you'll be punished in a way others are not. As an illustration, you've probably recalled occasions where celebrities have been vocal about political, social issues, like when footballer Mesut Özil was vocal against the genocide of Uighurs in China and got threatened by the Chinese government, or when YouTuber Amena Khan was lost her contract for L'Oreal because people found that she tweeted things in support of Palestine. And even in academic circles, Tahir Abbas and Sadegh Hamid, once they've tried to engage constructively with government counter-extremism institutions, but their contribution was declared non-compliant because some people found that they're engaged previously with some organizations they found were extremist. Well, it is the remit of their job. Like Sadegh Hamid studies British Muslims, so of course he's talked to many different organizations all across the spectrum. So there are tangible consequences. If you are too vocal about something, if you want to stand your ground when it comes to certain morals and ethics, principles and things in the society that you see happening, some injustices, there's a cost if your voice doesn't follow the dominant narrative. But then what happens to people who cannot self-censor themselves and For example, when it comes to skin color, you cannot change your skin color. Some people, they can change their behavior, the language, the way they think, the way they dress, but you cannot change skin color. So, and this, well, you probably guessed, has a huge impact on people's mental health because they are literally condemned to face barriers and challenges. But the problem is, in human nature. Nature produces, by definition, unconventional people. Not two people are the same. Usually people who change their behaviors, their appearance, the language, or adopt what they call a low-key Islamic identity, mimesis. They copy the dominant norms, the dominant standards, dominant behaviors, discourses. It is a protection mechanism. So in the literature, people have studied different reasons why people conform. It can be either normative, which means, a desire to avoid punishment. It can be ingratiational in order to gain rewards, or it can be informational when basically people lack knowledge and yield to peer pressure, or just copy whatever everyone else is doing. They follow what Jacques Lacan called subjects supposed to know better. So figures of authority or charismatic people who are dominant voices. But in some cases, psychologists have found that assimilating to one culture can also be a mechanism to minimize cognitive dissonance. Because, for some people, it's a bit too much to deal with their own cultural references, their own identity, and what the society expects of them. So you're just going to reduce the noise and choose one way. And you know what? This is something that affects not only minoritized people, but even, people like coming from the north of England who want to work in the south. There's a brilliant study called The Class Ceiling by Friedman and Laurisson, which demonstrate that finding a job in the UK in the 21st century, right now, it was published in 2019, is not a matter of talent, skills, experience, knowledge, qualifications, or pure luck. But it is conditioned by something called cultural matching. Because progressing on the professional ladder across many different industries is highly dependent on finding mentors, so people to guide you through your career, and sponsors, people who are in position of power, who can open the door for you. But of course, the condition for it is cultural matching, which means that the candidate has to fit certain cultural expectations. So I'm going to quote directly from the book. Top firms eliminate nearly every applicant who did not attend an elite college or university. They then put applicants through a series of informal, between quotes, recruitment activities such as cocktail parties and mixers that are generally uncomfortable and unfamiliar to those from working class backgrounds. Finally, when formal interviews happen, selectors often eschew formal criteria and evaluate candidates more on how at ease they seem, whether they build rapport in the interview, and whether they share common interests. If your future manager plays golf, you better be playing golf as well. This quest for cultural matching creates by nature a form of apartheid, where, pubs and cocktails are basically some kind of triage center for candidates where Muslims are de facto eliminated. And Friedman and Laurisson even noticed that even if working class people attend top universities, they are less likely to be selected. I quote, Bangladeshi people from working class backgrounds, for example, are only half as likely as working class white people to make it into top jobs, half as likely, despite attending university at much higher rates. And you have many anecdotes about this kind of cultural triage in universities like Cambridge. I quote, they only listened to me when they discovered that I like Schubert's string quartet. So what does it do? People adapt and adopt different behaviors along a spectrum. Some people don't do very much, but some people go overdrive. And this is how you have in the politics, for example, people like Sajid Javid or Zia Yusuf were like ultra anti-immigration despite being descendants of immigrants themselves. It's this kind of philosophy that if you cannot beat them, join them. Even people part of dominant groups have to perform in a certain way, like be part of this performance. And this is something you see very often on social media, specifically with the hypersexualization of people, male and female characteristics, whether it is facial surgery, steroids, because human bias. It has been demonstrated that in the collective imaginary, people with smoother facial features are perceived to have less struggled in life and therefore are perceived as financially successful. And it doesn't end here. People with such facial features which fit the dominant norms and expectations are given more opportunities than others. So yes, there is a reason why people undergo such modifications. And this is one of the many ways metacolonialism works, even for people seemingly part of the majority or dominant social structures. Like everyone is pushed into conforming according to certain standards and norms. Because when people undergo, steroid injections, breast augmentation, facial surgery, it's not only a way of signaling that they are fit for a sexual reproduction, it also signals that you are fit for the reproduction of the main dominant, safe structures that rule this society. You're not some kind of weirdo. You fit the mold. And the human brain loves predictability and associate this with safety, stability. It is you're faking it in the hopes that you'll make it somehow. Someone will open the door for you because you tick the right boxes. And that's why in my next video, I'll be talking about why assimilation doesn't work. I'll be talking about some groups of Muslims who have completely assimilated to the host country, but still we'll explore if it has actually changed anything for them. So if you want to hear more about the topics I talk about in my book and dive deeper, I encourage you to subscribe to my newsletter. So I promise no spam. It is only updates about physical live events I'll be organizing in the UK, France, or the US, and online sessions where I'll be distributing parts of the book, and we'll have like a conversation where you can just ask questions, and a bit more interactive than YouTube in a way. So I hope it was useful, and as always, take care of yourselves and each other.